They say the most dangerous person in the room isn't the loudest one or the one commanding all the attention. It's the one everyone counts out. Today I want to talk about why being counted out is actually the perfect setup for stepping up and how we can turn the world's doubt into our ultimate fuel. Please help me welcome to the lectern, Evon Felix.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Why is it that we often mistake a quiet presence or a gentle spirit with a lack of strength? The definition of physical strength is the ability of a muscle or a group of muscles to exert force against resistance. It's measurable. It's how much a person can push or pull. So even though I was an athlete in my high school years, I ran I ran track and I played volleyball. And I was considered physically strong. Most of my classmates and my teachers, they didn't consider me to be an emotionally strong person. I was always the last person to be picked for an academic team because I was petrified to speak for demonstrations or any type of class presentations. The fear was so much that I would decline from speaking and ask someone else to speak for me. This went on for a number of years until I had the chance to look inside myself and take note of how I've been underestimating myself and how circumstances caused me to overcome this. For example, I was born nearly 2 months early, and my lungs weren't fully developed, and I wasn't getting enough oxygen. I was in the hospital for at least a week, maybe more. So my mom was told by the doctors that I would be severely underdeveloped and that I wouldn't grow. And they diagnosed me with something called failure to thrive. Well, I ended up overcoming that when I started overeating enough to where I had a growth spurt, too much of a growth spurt. I ended up being 5'11" by the time I was 14 years old. And by the time I was 12 years old, the doctor told me that I had adult-sized bones. So now I'm 6'1". So I guess the doctors were wrong about me from the beginning. People mistook my soft-spokenness for weakness. And in school, I was bullied, especially in middle and high school. I was really skinny. I had these large glasses, so I was pretty easy to be picked on. So the most memorable moment I showed my strength, but not necessarily in a good way, was when my friendly neighborhood bully named Kelsa decided to physically attack me in class. She walked to the back of the classroom for whatever reason, picked up a broom, and she struck me over the head with it. I never thought of the day I'd become physically aggressive, but I remember taking the broom from her, and I was so angry I actually broke it over my knee. I was so angry that I didn't feel the pain until later on in the day. She ran to the back of the class in fear, and I followed her, and I was just about to punch her in the face when there's other students that stopped me. So they suspended her for several weeks, but when she came back, there was a change. She actually asked me to play card games with her after school. So Kelsa was considered to be a troubled student, so they had an after-school program where troubled students, they would have them play different games and get involved in different activities. So she asked me to play with her every day, and she and I actually became friends after that. So she underestimated me, but I also underestimated how bad my knee would hurt after that. It was swollen, it was hurt pretty badly. So my parents always believed in me, and they were firm believers in God. My mom would always tell me to repeat the verse in the Bible that says, "I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me to myself." I did what she asked, but I still had that lingering doubt in myself. So as I got older, I realized that underestimating myself would impede my potential. So it became a mission of mine to believe in myself no matter what. So my last example was when I decided to attend the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale to major in interactive media design. And that's a program where you design websites, user interfaces, and you edit the audio, the video, things like that, using industry software, creating images, things like that. So I asked my advisor to sign me up, and she refused. She said no. So I asked why, and she said, there were no women signed up for that field and that women wouldn't do well in that program. She asked me to get into interior design instead. So I became indignant and I asked to speak to the dean about this. After speaking to the dean, who was also a woman, thank goodness, she overrode my advisor and she put me in the program. So I can't say the program hasn't had its challenges, but I ended up getting an internship at a hotel marketing company and they hired me full-time. And I graduated from that program with a 3.6 GPA, so what the advisor said was not true. So I've made IT my career and I'm sticking to it even though it's not a traditional career for a woman. So even though I've been underestimated, the lessons I've learned have taught me that having quiet strength is more about emotional strength and resilience and how much you can show people not to be underestimated. Thank you.